Hey.
I know it's a downgrade. Sorry, guys.
All right. So you guys ready?
Yeah.
Comfortable?
Sure.
We.
3, 2, 1. Hi guys. Today is the second episode of Just, aka Just Our Stories, and today we're going to be talking about quarantine and transitioning from high school to university. And some topics we're going to be covering will be like how we could address the quarantine life and how that affects school, mental health, and with transitioning from high school to uni or college, familial and societal pressures, and things I wish I knew before applying. Today we also have 2 new voices. So one is Shams and one is Sadia. Say hi.
Hello.
Hi.
It's Shams.
And so the first thing we'll talk about is quarantine life and how it affects school. So I'm actually out of school, so I'm luckily enough to not deal with that, but I see a lot of you guys struggling. How's that?
I'm still at third year. It's been a miserable 3 years, but can't say it's been bad per se.
Is it all online, or like do you have any workshops that you have to go to school to do?
Yeah, everything is online. Like initially some parts were like in person, such as lectures and stuff, but then like they realized, hey, that's unfair, made everything online. And can't say it's been for the better, but it's usually subjective to whichever university you go to. So
Yeah.
in my case, I go to UTSC.
And you're doing a field that doesn't really require workshops and stuff, right?
Yup.
Yeah. Like my significant other is in college for George Brown, and he had to do like once a week to do workshop in campus. And it was stressful because there was someone that caught COVID. It was like a janitor over the weekend. Yeah, it was so bad. And like,
Oh my.
luckily it wasn't a different.
So did they have to shut it down?
No,
completely.
No. For some reason they didn't. That's why I'm confused. Like, why didn't they like shut it down? But like, it's because it was a different building. It wasn't affecting their workshop specifically. So because of that, they were like, okay. But still, that's such a risk to take.
Yeah.
But I don't know. How about high school? That's my question.
Oof. Oof.
Tabia, go first.
Okay, let me start off with first semester. So, for example, okay, let's just break it down. So the TESB, we have, four semesters, so quadmesters. Right now, we're all in the second quadmester, but I can tell you that in my first quadmester, which I had math and French, so I had to be in quarantine for 2 weeks, actually,
Oh my God.
because my math teacher caught COVID, and so like the whole cohort just had to stay home for 2 weeks.
Oh wait, I heard about
That's rough.
Wow.
Yeah, so that happened, and so I mean, it didn't affect my. Like, I did pretty well in my courses, but it's so stressful because it's like someone in your class that you made contact with has COVID, and now everyone's at home. Like, it was obviously very stressful, and also just the whole learning environment. It's not the same. High school, you have this picture of like you and your friends going down the hallway, eating lunch at the caf, or like buying lunch from the caf, sitting in front of your lockers, having food.
Lunch in the caf?
I don't. I eat in front of our lockers. Well, we used to eat in front of our lockers, but like now it's all
we all
different.
just missed going outside,
Yeah.
seeing our friends,
Like, for example, the
studying
schedule.
together.
Yeah.
Like, for example, the schedule is like 4 hours in the morning, and then you come home, and then another hour at home. Like, that's how it is. Now I'm fully virtual, so all my courses are virtual, and honestly, it sucks. Like, not having people around you and just looking at a screen for 4 hours straight. First of all, it's not great for your eyes, and second of all, you just feel like you feel alone. Like, it's not the same. It's not.
Isn't there like a term that they made for like, there's like screen fatigue or something?
Zoom fatigue.
Zoom fatigue. I was like, that sounds so funny, but like legit. I have that shit whenever I deal with it, but it's actually it's a lot to handle.
Yeah. My perspective is a little different.
Yeah.
Based on a set of factors. But okay, so I chose to do virtual like the entire way through, like from the very beginning. And personally, okay, here's the thing. I prefer it to my situation in grade 11. And the only reason I like virtual now is because I hated in person in grade 11 so much.
Oh.
But like, I
Ooh, we have
totally
the
understand that
opposite.
if you... Here's the thing though. I totally understand that like if you had like, you know, like a close group of friends and like, you know, in high school that you've been going to school with for like 3 years prior, and like this, you know, grade 12, you have to do it through a screen. Like I totally understand why you would be pissed that, you know, you have to log into classes for 4 hours a day and just like sit there. But and even now, like in first quad was pretty easy for me. But right now I'm definitely feeling it. Like it's pretty bad for your health to just be like in your room all day. And like I wake up 2 minutes before my classes start and then log on from bed, which is really bad. But yeah.
Wait,
it's pretty bad.
I have a question for Shamsani. Did you guys do any online courses before quarantine? Yeah, before Corona and all that?
I mean, they were an option, but personally, I never actually did them. So.
Did you do
a whole bunch of
like this is a first for me.
Oh.
I mean, I had options for a couple online courses, but they were mainly like first or second year like psych courses or
same
like a bunch of like social science courses,
like electives, right?
Yeah,
Basically.
electives.
Right. But most of the time, it's like, oh, we're just gonna post the lectures online. Like, if we have a final, you're gonna do it in person.
Yeah.
It was plain and simple.
Yeah, I had like I think 3 online courses. They're also for electives. I did the worst in online courses. I couldn't like pay attention, and like unlike you guys, we didn't do like lectures through Zoom. It's just like assignment after assignment after assignment. You don't need to do lectures, and like all the it's just readings for history courses, to be fair. So like I'm not used to that. I don't like reading. I just like people talking to me.
Oh yeah.
Or like just listening to like podcasts, if anything, or they have lectures that's just like audio. But yeah, I couldn't do online for the life of me. And even my last semester, from like the beginning of Corona, it was kind of fun. I'm not gonna lie. Like I had like 2 visual arts courses, and like people were playing Animal Crossing on their screens. Someone was playing Jenga, and I was like, what the this is so freaking cute.
Here's the thing. Sorry.
No, that's it. Like university online classes are so different compared to, I'm sure, different from high school, because like everyone can do whatever they want for uni courses, like playing Jenga right in front of the teacher. They don't even care. But
I think one thing though is like online courses, it takes so much longer to like take notes and like actually pay attention. Like before in class, like I take notes right away. Like it would be like an hour and I'm done. But if it's like an online course, like it takes me double the amount of time to like pay attention, take notes, like.
And like one course is 3 hours, and one class is 3 hours too, right? So you're just sitting there, just trying to like try to enjoy it.
Energy.
Yeah.
So I'll give online courses one thing. Like, it does give you a lot of versatility on how you study versus like having to go to each lecture at every single time.
That's true.
And like you can increase the speed of lectures if you're impatient like me, or you can just pause. You can just pause whenever to take notes, though that takes a lot of time, as Sadia mentioned.
I do like that idea.
However, there is one very big problem with online courses, and I think that's the adaptability of the professors. So like the format on how they deliver workloads and stuff.
Yeah.
Because like I'm a stats and econ student, and those courses, they take a lot of calculations. It's all just hell.
My significant other's teacher, I feel bad for them, if anything, but there's a lot of like older teachers that aren't aware how to use media as well.
Yeah.
Exactly.
His teacher for 1 hour was like staring at the ceiling, his webcam, and you just hear music in the back, and you could just hear the students be like, "Sir, you can't hear you. Please turn it down." Like,
it's not about having patience for your professor. It's if they can do it or if they cannot. Because as harsh as it is to them, we kind of paid for university, right?
I see. Yeah.
So
I'd be pissed if I had to pay for like online university classes, like full tuition. no.
Oh
We're
yeah.
not doing that.
Like right now, there's a reason why university is a scam is a big meme.
And I think
yes, it is.
Yeah,
but we'll get into that later.
It's mostly about how the professors just deliver their courses. One of my finals, like as I mentioned before, there's a bunch of major calculations. You can't even submit those. It's one final answer, or you just get it wrong.
Tough.
And that leads to my second topic is there's a lot of places the guidance counselors in school were super helpful for some people, some weren't, but that was very crucial when talking to teachers and applying to universities, talking about that. You can't do that through emails, and nor can you call them. It's so hard to do now.
It was so difficult. Backlogged and everything too. You can't really reach guidance counselors when you need them.
Exactly. We have so many emails, man. 50 emails per day. Not even 50. Honestly, I feel like it's more than 100. And it's so much work.
I haven't even kept contact with my guidance counselor. I'm just gonna figure that on my own. Reddit, please help me.
Yeah, and keeping contact with your professors is a really important thing for university. If you want to get jobs or something, you want a referral letter.
That's an important thing to know for the last things I wish I knew before applying. Yeah.
And having that not readily available, it kind of sucks.
Yeah, for references, it's such a crucial thing to make that that bond. And I think I only had one good bond with my history teacher. And that helped me so much for different references.
Although to be fair, there are office hours, but sometimes office hours just isn't enough. It's not the same as after a lecture. If you still have questions, you can personally ask them to your professor, and they can answer your question personally.
I guess
that connection,
instead of just playing poker face and saying, "Oh, you just do this, that's it." You can't elaborate on your questions as much.
Are you guys really stressed about applying to university though? Or colleges?
Yes, I am. Oh my god, I was doing my OUAC applications a couple days ago. I still am. I haven't submitted them. But I don't know what.
When's it due?
Oh no, it's January 15th.
It's due January 15th.
Oh my!
I finished. I applied 2 days ago.
How many did you apply to?
I should be.
I applied to 7 stuff. 7 7 options. There you go. That's the word. Yeah.
Wow.
That's the word.
Damn, I can't.
How did you decide what programs you wanted to apply to?
So here's the thing. I actually, in the last podcast, I was talking about engineering for some reason. I hate physics, so I don't know why I talked about that, but I dropped physics, so I'm not going into that anymore. But now it's all nursing and life sciences. It's all the biology, health sciences, all that kind of stuff that I'm looking towards, because I'm still not sure. Nursing is my first option, but it's competitive, obviously, especially in Ryerson. You need a 93 average to get in and stuff like that. So
I'm sure you have a 93 average at least.
I know.
Have you? Stop.
You'll get in wherever you apply.
Exactly.
That was stressful, and this is probably part of the next topic we're talking about, but that pressure of what I want to apply to, because obviously nursing, it kind of, in the South Asian community, it may sound like a bad job, you know what I mean? In Bangladesh, the nurses.
Really?
In Bangladesh. No, in Bangladesh, nurses basically, that's the lowest option apparently in Bangladesh, and so
really now.
Yeah,
it's still in the medical field though. That's the thing.
It is, but
it's not the same as being Mom, Dad, I'm gonna pursue music as a career. It's not the same level.
Actually, the cap. That's so true.
Yeah, that's
in Bangladesh,
that's a big
it's a whole different thing.
I think
in Bangladesh, it's either you're a doctor or a specialist, or you're a nurse.
Yeah, I get
that's the differentiation.
Yeah, there is a hierarchy in the medical field, and I think in Bangladesh.
And so when I told my dad was like, "Oh yeah, go for it. You'll probably make more money than me by the end of it. Who knows, right?" And so my mom's like, "What? In nursing? Are you crazy?" Because she was on with her, she was so on to, her one of her kids being a doctor, the other one being an engineer. I said no, and because I just still wanted engineering, right? And so, that kind of hit hard. I understood her perspective on it. It wasn't something I wanted to do, and so that was kind of a struggle. But she eventually did come around after we talked to some family friends, because I have family friends who are nurses, and they're making like bang money, and they're doing really well in their careers as well.
Sadia, did you know what you were gonna do? Like, were you so confident in your choices in the beginning? Because you're pretty smart. Like, you're way smarter than me.
I'm not. I feel like it's like a vibe that comes off, but I'm really not. I just put in a lot of effort.
You should probably start with what you studied.
Yeah.
Just for
So from high school, I did IB, and then I went into life sciences. So when I was applying, I applied to, I think, 5 programs. I applied to UFT St. George, UTSC, McMaster, Waterloo, Queen's.
Ooh la la.
I think that's 5, right?
What'd you end up choosing?
And then I got into all of them, but I ended up going to UTSC because of like personal reasons, and I just wanted to stay close to home at that time. And then when I went into UFT, like I knew I wanted to do sciences. I didn't really know what I wanted to do exactly, but I never had that like pressure from family, like, oh, you have to be a doctor. On the contrary, they were like, don't be a doctor. And like I think going in, like I was like, no, I want to do sciences. But I would say like going in, I didn't really have that knowledge of like what are the different career paths that I can take with sciences.
Right.
And so that first year, like they recommend that you take very like the basic courses like psych, biochem, any other like extra other courses. And so I used that opportunity to kind of like explore my options. And I learned so many other fields within sciences that just kind of like blew my mind. I was like, okay, I can't be really limited to like what I know. I need to explore more. And so like during that time, I remember I would like just ask like people randomly like, oh, like what can you do in this field? Or like professors, I'd just be like, oh, how did you get into becoming a professor to teach this? Like, were you always planning to do this? And they're like, no, I wanted to actually do a career path in something else, but I ended up doing this because of like certain reasons, right? But going back, like I think a lot of people in my shoes had similar experiences. Like they went into university with a certain mindset, like I have to do this, but then once they got in, they learned so many different things through all these courses that they started to open up doors to other options. And I think it helps to like go into university with an open mind, not limiting yourself to what you know.
Right.
Yes,
and then also just like joining clubs, interacting with your professors. Like that was one thing I didn't do too much in first year, and I wish I did more, was like talking to professors and seeing what other opportunities there are.
I want to add to that, like I think talking to the higher ups, like 4th years, 3rd years, there's also events that your own program makes where you get to connect to them and see their own research papers and stuff. So that's such a good way to know what you want to get into and what are the options in that field. Because, for example, geographic analysis of what I study, and there's so many different fields just within that. So there was the environmental, medical, transportation, environmental, I think I said environmental already, police. There's so many. And so I didn't know what I wanted, but that because of that one event, I was able to pinpoint like, okay, I'm interested in transportation and environmental. And that was from just first year. And throughout my all the rest of those 4 years, I kind of just ended up taking those courses and got to hone in which one I want more. So at that case, I ended up liking transportation a bit more. So it's again like keeping that open mind, but also just talking. Like it's such a
definitely.
I hate talking. Like as an introvert, I freaking hate talking. It's the worst thing in the world. I hate making friends.
I hate talking
too. Yucky. But
we have a podcast.
I know, right?
Yeah, I mean, girl, you're talking right now.
I know,
what's up?
Anxiety talking about me. But other than that, like I think going to those events were just like a fun way to even like look at them. I didn't have to talk to them, honestly. All I did was just read their papers, their presentations, and then
But
right. In one way, digital events, it does help people who are introverts like yourself and me.
I agree.
Like, you don't have to meet anybody face to face, but part of me does still miss like in real life events.
Oh yeah.
Just the interactivity,
like something,
seeing faces.
Something that I can add on. So like, this year I'm an executive member for a lot of clubs this year as a grade 12 student, and so just being it's hard to connect with people, especially when it's like grade 9ers or like younger kids, but it's so important, and it does actually help them out even if you think it doesn't. Like for example, Laurier has this new little initiative called the peer mentorship. So basically grade 11 and 12 students, we kind of team up and we kind of help out a few grade 9s, and the feedback we got was incredible. Like they felt more included into the school, and like they were able to reach out. And I think this idea of building a connection, even if you're far apart, is so important because we don't know how long this will last, but it's going to last for a long time. It's going to take a long time for things to go back to normal per se. So you have to, somehow adapt to this virtual connection and this physical disconnection. You have to adapt to it because this is how you're going to build relationships for the next few years, that you could say. And so you have to really try to do it because it might seem that it won't work, but trust me, it will. And so like you guys were saying, you have to keep an open mind. You have to push yourself to talk, to have conversations, because without these conversations you won't get anywhere.
Wait, I have a question for, like, I was just thinking about this while you guys were talking, but were you guys able to do the you know how in downtown they do like the Ontario College and University Fair?
No, that was virtual.
That was virtual.
There was
How was that done? Was that good?
I didn't go.
No.
I didn't go.
They tried?
They tried.
Oh no.
Yeah, they tried.
Bro, that was
it was okay.
It was both exciting and the most stressful time of my life for just walking through that entire thing. But oh my god.
I'm so mad.
Aww.
I'm so mad that I didn't get to experience that in person. Like going up to the booths and like getting free pens and like asking questions.
Yeah, I remember when I went, I came back with like
that's one thing I miss so much about in real life events.
Yeah, I got like lanyards. Like, I had so many lanyards and like pamphlets,
oh my god.
and like I don't care about any of these universities.
Yeah.
I mean, I did do something like that in grade 11 because when I was in grade 11, I was still in IB.
Wow.
And so the IB kids kind of had like this own little thing going on, and we kind of did it. It was fun. Like, even though it was more of like a small scale, like being with your friends, checking out little different universities as if you're going to go there, stuff like that. Like, it was fun. Aww. And I'm also sad that I couldn't experience that, just going out, looking at universities and stuff like that.
There
was this one memorable like groups session where like all the groups get to show off everything. Like, if you guys are Smash Bros fans, the Smash Club at our place, like we just had like setups you could play on, and it wasn't just playing competitively. Like some people, they just played like any stage items, and like to me, that's just what social life is. Just having everybody join in on the fun.
And I was just telling
another
sorry,
thing,
go on.
Sorry. Okay. Another thing that like COVID has impacted in terms of university applications is or college applications is your ability to actually see the campuses.
Yeah, I was gonna say
because
that.
usually able to do
it's
really important.
Like last March,
it's a little bit of a dopamine thing, right? All right,
yeah,
keep going.
I last March I was planning on doing campus tours with like a whole group of people my age, right? But like, it never happened because Corona happened, right? Like it was, and I'm kind of going in blind now because I don't know.
And I feel like the virtual tours aren't the same, right?
Yeah, it's just not. It's not the same.
The virtual tour is the same as looking at Google Images. It's the same thing.
Literally.
You want to make master virtual tour? Just go to Google search, Google Engine, Google Images. You're done. It's the same thing.
And they'll always show you like the best parts of the campus. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if I go there myself, I can go to the parts that they don't want you to see and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. No amount of Google Street View is gonna restore that same feeling.
Exactly.
it's not the same as standing in the building and like thinking about the next 4 years that you're gonna spend in.
Oh yeah, it's just the little things. Like at my campus, UTSC, there are like these big red chairs that you could just lie down on and either study or sleep.
I've seen
sleep
those
on campus. Oh man, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of miss that, as institutionalized as it sounds.
Institutionalized vibes.
I'm just thinking about this, like how I narrowed down, because my choices was Ryerson or UTSC, and like this goes back to our other topic, societal pressures and family pressures.
Right.
And like my mom was kind of like she didn't want the idea of me going a bit far. Like she wanted the closest option, which is UTSC. And I did not want to do that. All my high school friends would have went straight to UTSC. I didn't want to deal with high school all over again. Although, ironically, Ryerson is a high school university, so you think maybe I'd deal with that again, but no. But yeah, I think that was a huge thing for a lot of people, where a lot of their families didn't want their daughter or sons to go somewhere else because they wanted somewhere close, but also very smart, like University of Toronto, Scarborough.
Right.
So, I think that's one thing I want to point out, is that like in the end you're the one you're gonna be stuck in that area for like 4 years, right?
Exactly.
So I chose to do Ryerson because one, my friends were there, and two, it was just like a happier place. Like it was a more vibrant place. The study areas were just like it wanted me to, I wanted to study at Ryerson. Isn't that strange?
Ryerson has amazing, like their campus is so nice. Like I remember going there grade 10. I was like, wow.
Look like a high school,
I don't know what it
right?
is like.
Like literally,
it's like the
so nice
downtown, basically.
Yeah, like,
it's so pretty, bro.
EFT students are literally going to Ryerson just to study there. That's how crazy it is.
Yes. What's that building called with that?
SLC.
It's like a lot of colors, like the study center
SLC.
thing. It's like
It's the best.
There we go. That
Everyone
thing.
loves that
It's
place.
so pretty.
And like it's such a nice area to live. Not live. Well, yeah, live, honestly.
Basically
living there, because you're staying there from like 8 a.m. to like 10 p.m. So you're basically living there.
Institutionalized living.
Yeah.
Yes.
But again, I can't speak for a lot of people, because a lot of people wanted them to go to like Rotman versus Schulich, and I know someone who had that issue. And like Rotman is like it's just a name, right? Like that's something to like it's a lot. And I'm like kind of living through you guys again, because it's just that idea of like, oh, what's the best title to say to other parents?
Exactly.
So much to say about this,
and like
the whole idea of like titles and reputation.
It's so toxic.
Can I add something about societal issues? Like during quarantine, one of the biggest societal issues I've ever faced was just the fear of asking questions or like asking for help. Because like during quarantine, you'd usually have a group chat of like the whole class. So if you ask a dumb question, you're gonna be afraid that you're gonna look dumb in front of everybody. So that's why one of the things that really helped me a lot was just creating my own Discord for a lot of my friends. Because like it's not just asking questions and like asking for help in a Discord. There's like various channels. Some of my friends post art in an art channel, and sometimes we play games like Among Us.
And I think
it just makes quarantine life a lot more better.
And it's important to have that group of friends, right? Like if you have a connection, it's like you're like if you're picking a field that your parents might not care or like as long as your friends are there, as long as you make a group at your university. I'm very fortunate to find a group that like had a good balance of like partying but also cared about studying. And I think that's the most like biggest fear in first year is making friends, right? Like that first couple of months it's dreadful.
Yes.
It's absolutely dreadful, and I think quarantine is gonna even hinder it even more. And I think that is
honestly that's the thing I was scared about the most. Like first year, how am I like what am I like what? Like how am I gonna talk to people? You know what I mean?
But you know what I've realized is that like I have a friend who is in Ryerson philosophy. They make like Discord groups. They make these small events that are easy to connect with the first years along. Like you guys are gonna have a lot of those like events that is a good opportunity to make friends, right? And to learn about each other. And I think that is that's like a weight off your chest where you get to if anything it's a faster way of making friends because it's all online. You get to play games, you get to play Among Us all over again. It's honestly it's better.
It's just like our Joe's Discord. Join our Joe's Discord. By the way,
self promo to add into
our Instagram bio.
Like I remember in first year, because I went to UTSC, a lot of people I knew were already probably going there too. So I made it a point during Frosh to not hang out with the people I knew, which was like built up my anxiety so much. But I knew I had to do it to meet new people. And so like I put myself out there, like join a different group versus like a group that had my friends in it, and just like try and interact with those people. I mean, by the end of like my undergraduate like time, I probably didn't talk to them ever again. But like just putting myself out there in first year really did help to kind of like break that ice. And like first year in itself is like very tough in itself because you're in a completely new environment. You don't know how the system works. And especially if you don't have like parents or like friends that have gone through the university experience before you, like as like a person that's going through that the first time, it can really like be challenging. And so I remember like I didn't really know how university system worked or like where I could go to ask for help if like I was having issues with the course or like if I needed help to figure out what I want to do with my life, like where do I go? And I think some universities are better than other in terms of guiding you to these supports and resources. But like in first year, like putting yourself out there to figure out that system going in right away versus you having to find out like later on when it could have helped you earlier is really important.
And I do want to add into that, like that's one of the main things I wish I knew before applying is knowing the benefits of what your university provides. And I didn't know about this for Ryerson, like their mental health programs and stuff is a lot much better. I'll preach this until the day I die. It's better than U of T. Like UFT's mental health services are so poor. And
without a doubt.
Yeah, and like I really wish I knew this even in first year because I took advantage of that in third year. I wish I did this in first year, second year. And on top of that, if you think you struggle with mental illnesses or any sorts like that, like go use their family doctor, get a therapist, get a psychiatrist, make sure like see if you're diagnosed for anything, and if anything you could try academic accommodation. And here's the bad thing, and here's like a main issue is that the societal pressures or like your family pressures of like seeing that you're academic accommodation, you don't need help, there's no such thing as mental illness, like all of that is a question that your parents will bring up. But honestly, just like think that this is your studies are the ones that are getting suffered because of your mental illness or whatever, right? Don't let that hinder you. There's so many help.
Absolutely, you should prioritize it. For sure.
There's so much help.
And everything else.
Yeah, and academic accommodation will like help you like plan your life out with studies. They'll like literally schedule you specific days if you like schedules. If you need more time, if you're like a slow learner, they'll literally just like bump you up to like a better time for you. Like they'll give you so much patience and time, and I think that's very important because I didn't know this until now. I'm not gonna lie, I literally learned about academic accommodation like last semester. So that's I wish I could tell my kids this. I 100% will tell my kids this, but now that you guys are in grade 12, you guys should know that these are like crucial options that you should 100% look at. And on top
your
of that,
tuition is going into all of this, right? So you're paying for these services. So if you don't know about them, it's like your money is basically going to waste.
Yeah, like you want to use that.
Yeah, utilize everything you have, pretty much.
Like in high
like don't let your pride take control. And say, "Oh, I can definitely do this on my own." No, you need help. You basically paid for it, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And like,
another thing to note. Sorry, go on.
No, go on.
Another thing to note is like definitely do your research when you're looking at universities, and this is coming from somebody who's doing that like right now, because you know a lot of people will tell you, oh, like go to McGill or go to UFT because those are sort of the household names that everybody thinks of
knows about,
prestigious and everything. but do your research. Like, U of T might not be the best fit for you because maybe it doesn't provide the services that you need, right? And maybe it's more expensive than what's within your budget, right? So like, don't really succumb to the pressures of like your parents or your friends, or like, you know, being a clout chaser, being like, yeah, you know, I went to U of T or whatever. And like, if you went to U of T, like, no hate, no shade, no nothing, on like, good for you.
Yeah, like on top of that, it is a big thing to go to like those titled names, but in the end, everyone's gonna apply to the same place. They still have the same skill set. Yeah. It's just that name on your resume, and that's it. And
honestly, university name versus the actual program is because like it doesn't, there are a lot of programs that are super easy to get into at prestigious universities. It doesn't necessarily mean that individual is like, you know, a genius or anything. Like it depends on the program specifically, right? Because
and also like how well you perform. Like, say if you go somewhere where like their mental health services are not that great, but you're like in fact a crazy genius, but you know you have, you know, you have problems with your mental health. How's that going to reflect? Like, think about it. Like, you have to prioritize, you know, just don't only think about, you know, the name university. Oh my god, this university sounds so cool. Also consider, you know, what they have to offer, what you can do personally. Because say if you pick a pathway that only serves this idea of, oh my god, it sounds nice, you may not succeed the way you want to succeed.
Yeah,
I know we're kind of going over time.
Always remember, prestigiousness is just overrated.
But yeah, I just want to know that we are kind of going over time. Like, I kind of wanted to cut off at 40, but it's okay. If you guys want to, if Sadie, do you have a time restraint or anything?
No, I'm fine.
Okay. But other than that, I just want to move on to the last topic so we could just like end the finishings. So things I wish I knew before applying. I think this is more for me, Shams, and Sadia. And one thing I want to bring up is like, take your time. Take your time.
Yeah. No one without a doubt, take your time.
And I know it's easier said than done. Obviously your parents are rushing you. Obviously society is rushing you, right?
Yeah.
But
deadlines and everything, but the most important part is if you actually learn something.
Yeah. And
because during my first 2 years of university, I don't think I've learned a single thing other than how the university system works.
That's so true. That's so freaking true. I'm not even like, that's not even exaggeration. The first year is literally all you learn about how the school works.
I think I changed my program at least twice. Once I got into first year, like I went into it in a certain program, and then I realized that program wasn't the right fit for me after doing a couple courses, and I wanted to do something else. And it's completely okay to switch programs. Like, you're not stuck in the program that you got accepted into. And another thing on top of that is like, there's no deadline of when you need to graduate. Like, when I went in, I was like, I have to graduate within 4 years. But it's like, it's not something you need to worry about, because so many people graduate in 5 years or even 6 years at this point. As long as you're doing something that you like, and you're able to do it in a way that is like comfortable for you. Like, don't pressure yourself in taking 5 courses a semester if you can't handle it. It's just going to be detrimental to you, right?
For sure. You like, take 4 courses, take 3 courses. That's fine. Like, and this goes on to like the OSAP thing. Like, if you do academic accommodation, if you're doing all of that, OSAP will actually cover your full time. Like, if you're doing part-time for OSAP, so like 3 courses or lower, it'll actually give you money as if you're doing full-time. If you're considered like a permanent disability, which I've learned recently. I had no idea about that. So permanent disability also includes like depression, anxiety, ADHD, all those things. So look at that as well, because it is a great way to know what you're going for, right? And I also want to say, like, I'm on my 6th year basically, and it took my time. There are times where like I just dropped a lot of courses because there was just so much on my plate. And even though they normalize for 5 courses, it really shouldn't. Like, 4.
Same
like, even
here. Dropping courses after courses.
It's a waste of money too.
It just put this level of anxiety over me that like, oh, I failed. I actually couldn't do this. But little did I know, like, all you have to do is just take your time, like, sort yourself out, and know what you're doing.
Yes.
And
before
just to add on to that,
before you just rush into things head on, taking 5 courses at a time.
And I know a lot of postgraduate programs, if you want to go into master's or med school or PhD, whatever you want, sometimes they'll want a certain course load, but majority of graduate programs don't require you to take 5 courses per semester. And I feel like that's not something that a lot of students know, because they just assume that graduate programs want a first full course load every single semester, but it's not the case. So do your research. If you're thinking you might want to do a master's or something after your undergraduate degree, look into those programs, see what they actually require, because sometimes what you think is required isn't actually.
Yeah.
And so that can lessen a lot of the pressures.
Go into Degree Explorer or something.
Bro, this is epic. I wanted to...
Even though it causes you a lot of anxiety, go to Degree Explorer.
Yeah.
And honestly, Rate Your Prof helped me a lot.
Oh my gosh, I dropped courses because a certain professor was teaching it.
Right? Professors make a huge difference, and I know there's some mandatory courses where the so bad. One teacher caused one student constant or frequent anxiety attacks every class because of how aggressive he was and how he was teaching. And he would belittle him a lot, and it was just at that point it was just harassment. And none of the students really filed a complaint except for that one guy, and obviously he got taken out of school because of that. But just don't think of it like that. The way he was teaching was super old school. It wasn't right for anyone. It's not just him that had a lot of anxiety attacks. A lot of people in the class, I was one of them as well. He was so stressful. I couldn't even pay attention. I didn't want to go to class either because of how much anxiety it was to even go in. So
if you have a bad professor, just remember you're not alone in this. A lot of other people, they probably have the same complaints as you. So en masse, you can pretty much call this out. A lot of the stuff you may do, most of the time it may not be your fault. And that'll exactly be the case if your professor is genuinely bad.
And that also means on the other side, I also care about keeping contact with your teachers, because they're the ones that are going to give you the job later into the future. That includes research research interns, or research what's it called, researchers, research assistants. So they really help you a lot through your career. So even if you're saying if you're in a field that you're kind of iffy about, just talk to your teachers or profs, and they'll give you more guidance. If anything, there are teachers that specialize in different fields, but regardless, they'll head you into the right direction. So they're the ones that are in the field, right? They know the most. So talk to them as much as you can. It is really cringe, honestly, because I hate talking to teachers again.
And just to add in too, I know a lot of my anxiety came from what do I even talk to these professors about, even if I do contact them? Because I'm I don't know what I'm going to talk to this professor about. But I remember the professors want you to approach them. They're always craving for student interaction, because in a big classroom you can't have that personal connection, right? And so even if you just go in and ask them about something random on the lecture, or just ask them about their work, how did they get into what they're doing now, anything simple will just get the conversation started, and then from there you can build that rapport and then build a relationship off of that, right? It doesn't always have to be a very serious interaction.
And it could also be the course that you love the most, right? That's such an easy way.
Exactly.
That's an
easy way. I 100% talk to the teacher of the classes that I loved, because it's just wow, I'm a huge fan of you. Thank you for teaching me. I love whatever you're teaching. You're the best. As strange as it is, I do come off as I'm your biggest fan type of feeling. But they always remember me though, because I'm always that girl at the very corner that always jumps in her own seat because it's something excited. I don't know why, but for example, one of my teachers, she was Bengali, and then when she said that she was Bengali, I was that's me. I was pointing at
I know who you're talking
I was literally
about.
like pointing at myself to my friends, like, that's me, I'm Bengali too. And then the teacher noticed that because I'm freaking weird like that. And she's like, oh, are you Bengali too? I was like, yeah, Bengali. And then ever since then, she like talked Bengali to me, or like, Bangla to me. And I was just like, oh, this is so sweet. I love her so much. And she always saw her, she thought me daughter or something.
You became besties.
Yeah, I love her.
I mean, this idea of connection, it's like, I was talking about it before. I'm not in university, but even in high school, like for example, my grade 10 English teacher, loved that man, and I love English like as a course anyways, and so when he helped me a lot when it came to like applications for like a lot of stuff. Like he was my reference for every single thing. Mm-hmm. And so like this comes again, even whether you're in university or high school, talk to your teachers, your profs, because they'll help you out in the future.
Yeah.
Also, may I add, like, as dumb as it sounds, even if you know the answer to a question, still ask it to your professor. Like, it's just good to establish conversation. And who knows, maybe you'll learn something even more. Like, maybe your answer wasn't enough.
Yeah, and strangely enough, if you're always there, like, I don't know about you guys, but I skipped a lot of 8 a.m. classes. And, like, a lot of my friends that didn't skip those 8 a.m. classes, the teachers like remember them because they
showed up.
Yeah, they're like, wow, you're really gonna come at 8 a.m. As much as our information is so boring. It's literally stats, like all those stats courses were like 8 a.m. I don't care about it at all. And they loved the students, my friends that went to class, and I'm like, this is good. Like I'm happy that they maintain that contact, because that teacher is gonna teach you again in like 3rd year or 4th year, so you're gonna see them again.
They see those things which students come eagerly and which like just don't. Like they notice.
So
the first step is always just showing
during
up.
Quarantine they just don't. It's either you join or you don't. You get the answer right or you get the answer wrong. It's just a bunch of zeros and ones, just like how everything's just digital.
So, do you guys have any
I got really philosophic there, didn't I?
I got a good theory. Do you guys have any last remarks to add into this?
Don't stress too much. Life will still go on.
Okay, bro.
No, honestly, don't think of it as like something to rush. Like if you're changing careers, if you want to take a 13th year, if you want to take a gap year, do it.
Honestly,
it's literally your time.
There's so much stigma around taking a gap year, but if you need it to figure out what you want to do, it's definitely worth more of your time rather than wasting a year and you not knowing what you're doing.
Yeah, for sure. I wish I took a gap year. I wish I took a 13th year. These are things that I wish I did when I first went to high school, but for some reason, like that societal pressure, no one really told me to do that. I just kept thinking like there's no way I could drop out. That wasn't even an option. But like that dropping out is such a normal thing to do. Taking that gap year is such a normal thing to do. Don't let anything stop you. Don't even so just do what you feel like you're
There's multiple ways to reach one goal. It's not just not one path. There's multiple. Take what path works for you.
I guess I just wanted to say that like I'm in the process right now, but I think we should all, people who are applying to university and college right now should definitely evaluate like what they really want to do for the next 4 years or really for the rest of their life, and kind of consider what they've been conditioned to want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think just to build off of... Oh, sorry.
No, go on.
I was just saying, if you're someone like me, like I know a pros and cons list definitely helps. So in any situation, if I have to make a decision, like it gives me anxiety to make decisions. Yeah. And so to help facilitate that, I'll create a pros and cons. And if there's more pros to that versus cons, then I'll be like, okay, this is a good decision.
Definitely.
And
that'll help.
And make sure you don't put the pros as my parents would like this, okay?
That's not a pro.
Cloud is not.
That's not a pro.
Is like look at biases.
That's a negative point, okay?
And also like looking at biases, what Raudat said is like you have a lot of internalized biases that we might not realize because we've grown up in a certain environment. And so writing those down helps you visualize, oh, I've grown up only within this certain context, so I have so much that I don't know. And so when you write that and contextualize that, it helps to see where you stand.
And we didn't address this before, surprisingly, but like, a lot of us, we've grown up being told that we have to become either a doctor, lawyer, or engineer, right? Like those are the big three career choices that like will guarantee you success.
The big three.
That's not true. Like those are not the only paths to success, right? It's a very specific idea of like really it's the immigrant ideal, right? But in reality there are many
just do what makes you feel like something passionate you're about.
Yes, I think that is a huge topic in itself, like that intergenerational thinking process and understanding what they think, because if anything, just a little hint, but like you have to understand where they come from. If anything, they just want the better and the best for you in your future, but that's a different topic, right now. Just think about yourself, what the hell you want, what you want to go into, what makes you happy in the future, and that's all that matters. Calf.
Don't let quarantine life kill you.
Well, thank you for listening. And I hope you guys enjoy it. Episode 3 will be coming soon. We will be talking about intergenerational or something else. We'll see. But other than that, thank you guys for listening. Thank you for joining. Bye.
Bye.
Peace.